We're ready to go. Friends, widow lovers, and countrymen, lend me your ears. It's Star for the Win, back with another video. Make sure you watch until the end of this video because I have an idea about how to connect your children's ministry to your widows in your church and how you can bring those two together for an awesome ministry in your church. And this is actually a video of me talking after my softball game about widows, about giving your church an idea to do a unique widow ministry. Hey, it's Star for the Win here with another video. Hope you enjoyed this video. Woo! It's been a whirlwind since this game. We had the 8:30 game this morning, and then I look at my phone after the game and I get a phone call from one of my neighbor's kids, and I thought, oh, this isn't good. Well, my neighbor, she's my last widow in the neighborhood. She had to be taken to the emergency room today, so be in prayer for her. I was still in the area close to the hospital where she was taken, so after I got gas, because hey, this is a reminder for Floridians, it's hurricane season. Keep your gas tanks full. Our rule is usually it doesn't get far under 3/4 of a tank before we fill up again. When I was talking to my neighbor's daughter who lives out west, she told me where she was taken to, and it was right across the street from where I was getting gas. So I take off over there, park the car, go in, and I was able to see her, which was great. I kind of knew from my days of ministry as a youth pastor, church planner, I kind of knew how to maneuver through things. But going into the hospital, I'm bathed in the sanitizer stuff, all that kind of stuff, and then coming out, I'm bathing. I was like, oh, nowadays I just kind of like, I don't want to go into an emergency room because that's where all the sick people go into. I'm sweaty too after the softball game, but I got to see her and she's in good hands now. And I reassured the kids that, hey, your mom's okay. And then I checked on the house, make sure everything was shut down because they had to, come get her in an ambulance. So that's been a crazy morning, and now it's afternoon time. One of the greatest joys in my life has been since I moved here, and even before here, but especially here, is looking after widows in your neighborhood or around you. Try to find a widow that you can adopt and look after them. One of the best things out of all my years of ministry, when I was a youth pastor, they would make me do the children's sermons sometime. I really got to do the children's sermon because I enjoyed it. I would talk to them and do object lessons with them and everything. One year I decided we're going to get all the kids that come down for children's church to adopt a widow. Got a list of widows in our church. Then I got all the children that came down for children's church, and I gave each of them, they drew a name of a widow and they had their information on there. That was back in the day when we had church directories and we could share everybody's information. May be a little more to it to do it today. But I encourage you, if you have children in your church, try to get them to adopt a widow in your church and make that connection. You'll be glad you did, because like I said, looking back over the last 40 years, that was probably one of the coolest things that we did. And even our own kids got to adopt a widow. Nothing stopping you as a grown adult to look for a widow somewhere around you and make sure you take care of them. What is really strange, I was going to do a widow video a few weeks ago, but it didn't really turn out the way I wanted it to. Those of you that watch all my videos understand that my mom is a widow up in Georgia.
Going down.
Oh, she's making a wish.
You can make her laugh.
She was needing a walker. She uses a cane, but sometimes she likes to use a walker, and she didn't have one. Well, she had one, and then someone borrowed it, and she never did get it back. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. I was going around the neighborhood, and I saw a garage sale. Lo and behold, this guy had a walker, a brand new one for like $20. So I called my mom. She said, no. She said, the doctor prescribed me one or whatever they do. She got one, a brand new one that she's not using yet. I found out my mother-in-law, who is also a widow, she was telling me that her walker was broken. Handle had come off. Brakes didn't work right. Hey, I know where her walker is. So I got in my Jeep, drove over there. I knocked on the guy's door and said, hey, you been having to have that walker still? He said, man, I never did sell it. I'm glad you remembered me. So I bought the walker for $20. But when I came back, the Walker wasn't quite as high as my mother-in-law's. Here it is. I'm gonna back up the camera so you can see this, and then I'm gonna tell you a little story about what happened. I took it down there, but the arms didn't come up quite as high as the one she's using, and it's the one that the doctor set up. So I tried to unscrew it to see if the arms would lift up a little bit more, and they wouldn't. It was at its last notch. So I'm gonna show you what I did. So I came back over to the shop, drilled some holes. So it wasn't the right height, so it needed to come up an inch. So I actually put 3 new notches in here so that she can have it 3 inches higher. So basically what I did, I took the arm off, and these things are easy to work. You just unscrew this little bad boy right here. It had 6 notches. I went ahead and did 3 more notches. She can actually raise it up as high as she wants to, but she needs it on this notch right here. So that's what I did. So I drilled 3 holes on this side and 3 holes on that side so she can adjust the arms even more. Since it was bought at a garage sale, I took all-purpose cleaner, cleaned the whole thing off. Then I took alcohol water cleaner, sprayed the whole thing down, let it sit for about a minute and kill all the germs on it, and then I washed it off. And now I'm gonna get it on over to my mother-in-law. This brake, it would go all the way up to here, and so I adjusted it where it was the same as this side. So both brakes are working out, so we're ready to go. Remember, pure religion, the Bible says, is taking care of orphans and widows. I remember when I was a youth pastor in Indialantic, Florida, one of the things I did is the children's sermon a lot of time. And so one day during the children's sermon, I decided to get all the kids that came down to adopt a widow. So I put, back then, we had a church directory, and everybody's picture was in the church directory, everybody's address, their phone number. It would never fly today in today's society. But back then, that's how it was back in the 90s, back in the day of the hip-hop scene. I put a widow's name, her address, and her phone number down. And each kid got a widow to adopt. And it was one of the coolest things. Even our kids had a widow that they would take something over to or go visit or whatever. If you're in a church, if your pastor or associate pastor does a children's sermon, maybe suggest to them, what about getting all our kids to adopt a widow to go see and to visit or to do something for? It was a very good success. I would like to think that it's still going on at the church there in Indialantic still. Don't know. I'm not there anymore. Got it where I could adjust it. I made it where I could adjust the handlebars up high enough where it even would work for me, you know, being 6'1". What happened was, in the process, I said, well, I'll fix your old Walker too. And that way you'll have 2. You have 1 and have a backup. I fixed her old Walker up so well that she decided just to keep it. I have this Walker, but I have it where if a neighbor needs to borrow it, or if someone in my family, when I messed up my back in January, I was like, man, I wish I would have had this thing. I told my mother-in-law, I said, because she doesn't drive anymore, and I was kind of like, I check out Walkers at church now. I said, man, some of them's got these really nice tires, really nice seats on them, and I said, you should get you one of those, because I said, this is kind of like your car now. I said, go ahead and spend some of your money on a, pimped out Walker. So anyway, remember, Pimp My Ride, Pimp My Walker. When I went over to a funeral over in Titusville, my mother-in-law was at the funeral also, and she said, well, I'm only going to use the one Walker. You fixed up the other one, and she was real happy. She thought that the Walkers, when they close up, should lock, and they really don't do that. So I gave her some bungees. I said, whenever you're traveling with your Walker, just put this bungee right here. It'll stay shut. So she kept the bungees, but she gave back the Walker that I got from the garage sale. So I have it now to use in some other kind of way. Hopefully I won't be using it anytime soon. Thanks for being here. Remember, like, subscribe, and share. Peace out.